Hello, students, and welcome to the second part of our lesson that we started on Tuesday. Tuesday, we looked at the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. Today, we're going to look at standard form of a linear equation. So first, we'll start with our do now, where we respectfully answer the prompt about understanding facial expressions. It's kind of fun. Our objective, again, will be to learn about the standard form of an equation. Our essential question, what are the components of the standard form of a linear equation? Keep noticing the word line in there as we go through this unit in algebra. And also, how can I convert standard form to slope-intercept form? So we'll watch today's video and you'll complete 2 pages. Remember to turn in your work when you're done. Our exit question will be to complete the sentence. The standard form of a linear equation is blank. And equations written in standard form can be written into what form by doing what? So we do have a homework tonight. It's a 2-page homework, 4.2, standard form and slope-intercept form. Remember, we want to turn our camera on in class, and some of you are doing that to earn those extra points toward your Unit 3 test. Please respond when I call on you, whether it's the beginning, the middle, or near the end of the period. Submit this assignment in Teams before tomorrow morning. If you have questions, please write to me. Make sure you keep checking PowerSchool for missing assignments, because if you have incompletes, they will turn to 0 at some point. So I didn't know if you knew this, but today is the first day of Hanukkah. And if you have a Jewish friend, please wish them a happy Hanukkah and ask them to tell you about the history of this beautiful, beautiful holiday. It's got a beautiful story behind it. And if you don't know anybody who's Jewish and can share the story of Hanukkah with you, you might want to look it up on the internet. It's a lovely, lovely story. So here we go with our do now. Faces tell a story. How will recognizing the teacher's facial expressions help you be a better student? So we talk a lot about you, but today we're talking about the teachers. And, sometimes we always try to be positive, but sometimes it's hard when we're feeling down. Sometimes if the students are having a real hard time getting something, I might furrow my brow or just get a little bit concerned. Gee, how can I explain this so that they understand it? Or maybe if I'm just tired, I haven't had a good night's sleep, I've been really busy, and I'm just feeling like, ugh, we're wearing masks now, and some of those part of our facial expression is hidden. So we all have to look carefully at each other's facial expressions. If you're good at recognizing the teacher's facial expressions, you are in a good position to help turn around a teacher who's not feeling so great. And if you see that a teacher is really feeling positive, you're in a good position to maybe ask for something that you want. So use our expressions to help you as you learn. This is our exit ticket, and we'll complete that at the end. So here we go. Remember, our topic today is to learn the standard form of a linear expression. So, linear expressions are also, besides slope-intercept form, written in standard form. And standard form is ax plus by equals c. Okay, so a is a number that is multiplied by x, b is a number that can be multiplied by the y variable, and c is a constant. Remember, these can be plus or minus. We always say plus when we write a formula, but you can have negatives in there, and you'll see those as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write each equation that we have in slope-intercept form, and then that allows us to identify the slope, which we we identify with the variable m and the y-intercept. So remember, the important thing is that even though they're written in standard form and they're presented to us often in that fashion, they can be converted to slope-intercept form. And how do we do that? We solve for y. So let's take a look at the first one. So we have 2x plus y equals 3. So 2 is our a. We have an invisible 1 for our b, okay, equals 3, and 3 is our c. So how are we going to convert this to slope-intercept form? Well, let me rewrite it first. And the first thing we're going to do is subtract 2x from each side. And we'll have y equals negative 2x plus 3. And there we are in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Our m is negative 2. And our b value is 3. Let's look at number 2. So we have 4x plus 5y equals negative 30. The first thing we want to do, remember, we are solving for y. So we'll subtract 4x from each side, because whatever we do to one side of an equation or an equality, we do to the other side. Then we have 5y equals negative 4x minus 30. Now, y is still not isolated, so we still have a little bit of work to do. So we're going to divide everything by 5. And y equals negative 4/5 x minus 6. Negative 30 divided by 5 is 6. Our m equals negative 4/5, and our b value is negative 6. So let's look at number 3. Again, we are solving for y. Maybe we need to write that over here so we remember. All right, so the first thing I think we'll do here is subtract x from both sides, which gives us negative 3y equals negative x plus 12. And then we will divide by negative 3 in the next step. And remember, everything is divided by negative 3, which leaves us with y equals, and negative times divided by negative is a positive. We have an invisible 1 here. So this is 1/3 x minus 4. So m equals 1/3, and our b equals negative 4. All right, so why don't you try 4, 5, and 6, and let's see how we do. So pause the video, try 4, 5, and 6, and see how you do. All right, I'm going to work 4, 5, and 6 with you. I'm going to first subtract x from both sides of this equation. And that leaves me with negative y equals negative x minus 8. And now I need to divide everything by negative 1, because we have an invisible 1 in front of that y, which simply will serve to just change the signs on those values. So we are left with, this cancels, y equals positive x, because negative 1 divided by negative 1 equals 1, and that 1 becomes invisible. So y equals x plus 8. Again, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Our m value is 1, and our b value is 8. In number 5, the first thing we do is subtract 4x from each side. And then negative y, there's an invisible 1 there, equals negative 4x. We don't need to bring down that 0. Not necessary to do that. But we do need to divide everything by negative 1. which will leave us with y equals 4x. And m equals 4. And even though there's no b value, we can say that the b value is 0. So for number 6, the first thing we'll do is subtract 3x from each side. Remember, we're solving for y, which at this point we have negative 2y equals negative 3x minus 14. And at this point you might ask, why did I write the negative 3x before the negative 14? Let's go back and look at standard form and slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is going to be y equals mx plus b. So I want to put that x term first. Okay, I still have not isolated y, so what I will do is divide every term. All three terms need to be divided by negative 2. Remember, terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So now I have y equals negative divided by negative is a positive. So we have a positive 3 over 2x plus 7, and our m equals 3 over 2, that's our slope, and our y-intercept, the place where this graph crosses the y-axis, our b value is 7. And now let's look at numbers 7 and 8. So we'll start by adding 6x to each side of this equation. So now I've got 4y equals 6x plus 20. Now, my next step will be to divide everything by 4. We've got 3 terms here, and usually that is what we'll have unless something equals 0. So now I've got y equals, and this 6 over 4, we're going to go ahead and simplify that to 3 over 2. So y equals 3 over 2x plus 20 divided by 4 is 5. And our m value equals 3 over 2, and our b value equals 5. Now, number 8, we have 1x. We have an invisible 1 here, so we'll subtract x from both sides. And then we will have 5y equals negative x, and that's, again, an invisible 1, minus 15. And now we need to divide everything by 5. Remember, we've got an invisible 1 here. So what we're left with is y equals negative divided by positive, still negative. Negative 1/5 x, negative 15, excuse me, students, negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. So our slope, our m, is negative 1/5, and our b value is negative 3. So if you'd like to try the next 4, why don't you pause the video and go ahead and do that, and then come back and let's see how you did. Okay, so for number 9, we'll subtract 3x from each side of this equation. And then we have 3y equals negative 3x minus 12. And now we simply divide everything, all 3 terms, by 3. And that leaves us with y equals negative 3 divided by positive 3. I'm going to write that here for you. Equals negative 1. That will become an invisible 1. So y will equal negative x minus 4. Our m value is then negative 1, and our b value is negative 4. And number 10, the first thing we'll do is add 2x to each side. And then we have negative 4y equals 2x plus 36. Everything needs to get divided by -4. And these are all positives, the 2x and the 36 being divided by a negative. So what we're going to end up with on the right side of this equation is -2 over 4, which will equal -1/2. So y equals -1/2 x minus 36 divided by 4 is 9. So our m value is -1/2 and our b value is -9. And number 11, the first thing we'll do is subtract 12x from each side, which will leave us, forget my x's, with -9y equals -12x minus 9. Now we have to divide everything by -9. Which will leave us with y equals. Now let's look at that -12 divided by -9. First of all, it's going to go positive, and both those both those numbers, those values are divisible by 3, so it would be a positive 4 over 3. So y will equal 4/3 x, and -9 divided by -9 is a positive 1. So our m value equals 4/3, and our b value equals 1. Let's get a darker color. The first thing we'll do with number 12 is we'll subtract 4x from each side, which will give us 10y equals -4x plus 10. And then we will divide everything by 10, which will leave us with y equals, so again, -4 divided by 10, both those numbers are divisible by 2, so that would be -2/5. We simplify fractions, we do not convert them to mixed numbers. So improper fractions are okay, but we do simplify as much as we can. So that would be -2/5 x, and plus 10 divided by 10 is 1. So our m equals -2/5, and our b value is 1. So now we can be given a graph, and we are asked to determine the equation that best represents the line shown on the graph. And our hint is to convert these to slope-intercept form. So if we convert A to slope-intercept form, I'll work over here. X plus 3y equals -6. So I'll subtract x from both sides, which will give me 3y equals -x minus 6. And then I'll divide everything by 3, which will give me y equals -1/3 minus 2. So the first one converts to y equals -1/3 minus 2. So what do we got here? We've got a point right here and a point right here. Let's figure out the slope of this thing. We have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our slope is 2 over 6, which we convert to 1/3. So our slope is 1/3. And this graph, I'm going to erase this so we can see it better again. This graph crosses the y-axis at y equals -2. So we need an equation of y equals 1/3, that's what we got here with the slope, 1/3 x minus 2. This is the equation we need to find. And here we have negative 1/3 x minus 2. So this is not our equation. So I'm going to do some erasing over here so we have room to do our scratch work. And get a darker color. Let's try b. So b, x minus 3y equals 6. We subtract x from each side, and we have negative 3y equals negative x plus 6. Now we have to divide everything by negative 3. After we do that, we have y equals. Now I'm going to change the color and show you. We have an invisible 1 in front of that x. And negative divided by negative is a positive. So this becomes a positive 1/3 x. And positive 6 divided by negative 3 is a negative 2. And this is the same as the equation that we derived from looking at the graph. So B is the correct answer. B converts to y equals 1/3 x minus 2. I'm going to go back to the other color. C would convert to y equals negative 3x minus 2, and D would convert to y equals 3x minus 2, and those would both be incorrect. So let's move on to number 14. Now, these problems, 13, 14, and 15 students, these are very typical. These are highly tested problems. You will see questions like this on different exams, an algebra exam, a midterm exam, a PSAT and SAT, a high school entrance exam, very typical kinds of problems. So again, we need to convert, and we need to convert these to slope-intercept form, and then we need to see which one is representative of this graph. Now, if I look at this graph, let's find out what the slope is. Okay, so the slope appears to be, here's a point, here's a point. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2. 4 divided by 2, which equals 2. So our slope is 2. Our y-intercept is right here. Y equals negative 1. So our y-intercept is negative 1, our b value. So we're looking for y equals 2x minus 1. So let's start solving some of these and see if we can figure out what's going on. So a, when we convert a, I'll write it over here, x plus 2y equals negative 2. Subtract x from each side. That gives us 2y equals negative x minus 2. We divide everything by 2. Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. Not what we're looking for. So let's try B. I'm just making more room here. So B, x minus 2y equals 2. Subtract x from each side. And we have negative 2y equals x plus 2. And then we will divide everything by negative 2, which gives us y equals, see, negative 2y, negative 2. This is going to be We have an invisible 1, so that's going to be negative 1/2 x. Oh, did I make that? This should be a negative. Okay, that's going to be a positive 1/2 x. Sorry about that. I almost missed my own negative. Positive 1/2 x, because a negative divided by negative is a positive, minus 1. So not what we're looking for. Okay, let's erase that and let's try C. 2x. You'll get really good at your algebra tools when you do these. You'll get fast. So let's subtract 2x from each side. Y equals negative 2x minus 1. And that's not what we're looking for, because we need y equals positive 2x minus 1. So C is incorrect. So our last choice, let's hope D works. 2x minus y, 2x minus y equals 1. Subtract 2x from both sides. Negative y equals negative 2x plus 1, but we have an invisible 1 here. We have to divide that out in all 3 places, and that gives us, this will cancel, y equals 2x minus 1. That's what we were looking for, and this is our correct answer. Okay, number 15. Last one. And again, I'm going to make some room here so we can do some of these problems. Okay, number 15. We're looking at negative slope, definitely. So let's find 2 points that lie perfectly on the grid so we can figure out our M and our y-intercept, our b. Well, our y-intercept appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And our slope appears to be, we have a point here and a point here. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have negative 5 over 1, 2, 3, 4 over 4. So we're looking at y equals negative 5 over 4x plus 7. That's what we need. So let's start with A. 4x plus 5y equals 35. We'll start by subtracting 4x from both sides. And that will give us 5y equals negative 4x plus 35. And then we'll divide everything by 5, which will give us y equals negative 4/5 x plus 7, and that's not, we're looking for negative 5/4. So A is incorrect. So we'll go ahead and now we'll try B. You have to go through each one of these. It's the only way to do it. So B, 4x minus 5y equals negative 35. Subtract 4x from each side. And we have negative 5y equals negative 4x minus 35. Now we need to divide everything by negative 5. Which will leave us with y isolated equals negative 4 divided by negative 5 makes that positive. Negative 35 divided by 5 is positive 7, and we need negative 5 over 4. So B does not work for us. So let's go ahead and we'll erase this and we'll try C. Okay, C. 5x plus 4y equals 28. So first thing we do is subtract 5x from both sides, which will give us 4y equals negative 5x plus 28. Then we'll divide everything by 4. Which will give us y isolated equals negative 5 over 4 x plus 7. And that's what we needed. So C is the correct answer. If we did evaluate D for y, to put it in slope-intercept form, we would have y equals 5/4 x plus 7, and that would be incorrect. So the answer is C. So let's go back to our exit ticket. So the standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by equals c. And equations written in standard form can be converted into slope-intercept form by solving for y. Great job. We are now really into the heart of algebra. It's really all about slope, and you can use algebra to solve so many real-world problems. And I know that with practice, you can do this because you'll be great.